11. Time is running out. The information you may gain could mean the difference between life and death. So once again, call Steve Melching at 260-356-2611.
This is the Reality Radio Network on Telstar 5 Transponder 5 and on the internet at realityradionetwork.com.
And now live with Sherry Shriner.
Shorter and the nights are getting long. Feels like we're running out of time. Every day it seems much harder telling right from wrong. You got to read between the lines. Don't get discouraged. Don't be afraid to care. Make it through another day. I do my best to do my part. Nothing in my pocket, I got nothing up my sleeve. I keep my message in my heart. Keep up your spirit, keep up your faith, baby. I am counting on you. You know what you've got to do. Fight the good fight, everybody. Every minute, every day. Fight the good fight, everybody.
And welcome to the show, everybody. This week's been a busy one. You know, I've been researching the Antichrist and the codes, and I'll get into that in a few minutes. My book is now available at all the online book retailers, such as Amazon and Barnes & Noble, which means it should be available in bookstores in just a few short weeks. Listener call-in tonight, 260-356-2611. And for the latest gag on the Internet, check out www.bushislord.com. Most people would have never previously believed Bush is a candidate to be the Antichrist. But I think as he keeps moving forward with his agenda, it will become obvious to all that there's something quite not right in Washington these days. The cast of characters hasn't changed in 4 years. So we need to keep our eyes on them in these last days. George Bush, Hillary Clinton, St. Germain, St. Sananda of the Nasara Freak crowd, and Benny Hinn. You know, these are the characters, folks, that have been dominating the codes, the Bible codes, for the last days. They're always showing up. They're always dominant. And so we need to keep our eyes on these people, and I've been putting more and more information on my websites about them to try to keep people aware about them. You know, I was looking through the codes this week, and you know, with Jermaine and Sananda, and this Maitreya guy, and, you know, it was just so, you know, I looked back, and, you know, I'd concentrated on this Maitreya and the one Sananda, and, you know, it's just so prophetic because they're just so dominant. As I'm looking through the Antichrist codes this week and seeing how things can come into play, and I'll tell you what, the cast of characters don't change. Some people will, is in regards to Bush or Hillary. You know, if Hillary threw her hat in to run in 2008, I would head to the mountains. You know, she's very dominant. People don't understand how dominant Hillary is. So we need to keep an eye on her, folks. I'm going to put some more stuff on her, and I got some information on her tonight. You know, some people think that the woman rides the beast is in regards to the Vatican, and that it's allegory, but it's really not. We know that the Bible speaks in layers, and she's definitely a layer to contend with, to be leading Babylon in the last days. An interesting post at a Yahoo group today, and I'm going to read it here. It says, I have been given the gift of sight by the grace of our Father Adonai. I've been giving this recently, and it troubles me. I saw in the north a dark cloud, and as it approached I noticed it was not a cloud, but rather a swarm of locusts. It overcast a small fig tree. When it left the fig tree, it was sickly. Then the swarm came to a young lion. It did the same thing to the animal, but when the cloud dissipated, the lion was lame. Someone please pass this along, a concerned Messianic Jew. And I replied with the following. The locusts are aliens coming from the north as their quarters. If you look up north in Strong's, it is the habitation of the heavenlies, also where the Lord inhabits. The fig tree is Israel, the lion is America. The cloud didn't disappear, it invaded, possessed, and dwelled the fig tree and lion, thus dissipating inside them. The alien invasion is happening already. First a spiritual and literal possession of the people, then an outward invasion. And, I keep seeing the term invader and invadable in the Bible codes, and it's always referring to the abyss, the aliens. But something else has been hitting my spirit this week in regards to them, things I've been noticing over the past month or so, and maybe I'm coming to the realization that this alien invasion is starting with a national possession first. We know the Anunnaki are coming. They are the armies of the Antichrist, and they will help enforce his rule here. But something else is happening here in America. I've been hearing too much about it from others in emails, people acting strange, people looking and doing things that aren't normal, people basically acting like they are possessed. And so, folks, watch out for people with forked tongues. Watch for that dead stare glaze in their eyes. The lights are lights are on, but nobody's home look. If you are not the Lord's, you are fair game, folks. If you don't serve the Lord, you serve evil and Satan, and he claims you on default. And so millions of people are on his default for possession. Things cannot only get more interesting, but more and more gross. The Lord's people are going to realize what a minority they really are, and maybe that's why it's so important to start having some kind of backup plan to where you can head to the hills and get away from the cities and suburbs and people in general. Don't get stuck in a box. Don't get stuck in one interpretation and how things are going to happen in the last days. We know there are layers upon layers of meanings in the Bible and in the Bible on the face text itself. Don't lock yourself into one interpretation. Be aware of as many as possible so when things do start happening, you can realize what's going on. So many people get stuck in doctrines and theologies and man's wisdom and their own wisdom, and Yahweh says to seek him for the truth in all things. The Lord said to me, many of my people will be surprised at the events of the last days because they don't seek me for knowledge. They don't seek me for wisdom and truth. Just like I said, Justice Hillary Clinton is a dominant player in the last days. The Bible says a woman rides the beast. That could be interpreted several ways, and so don't brush her under a rug when it comes to events in the last days. And don't brush a lot of things under the rugs that sound different or foreign to you. You may not be, things that you don't accept as a truth today. At least you're becoming aware of them. Become aware of all options. That way, if a fork hits the road and things start changing and they're not exactly the way you expected them to happen, then you can realize at least what's going on. Oh, I've heard about this. This is what's really going to happen now. And you're flexible. You can change because it's the people that can't change, the people that are stuck on one theology or ideology, and then things start happening that they don't recognize, and they're just going to get swept in the flood because, the Lord said these things are going to happen as a flood in the last days. Events are going to happen, and he keeps telling me the events are going to happen we don't expect. And so if you think you've got it all, obviously we don't. There's things that are going to happen that we don't expect, so nobody has it down. Nobody knows it all. All we can do is keep seeking him for the truth in these last days. Listener calling 92603562611. If you have a question or a comment, give me a call. I was reading this week, Warren Buffett dropping the bombshell on the U.S. dollar. And of course he's known as one of the world's most cautious and most successful investors, and he just put $20 billion in strong foreign currencies as a bet that the dollar will fall. The U.S. trade deficit, Buffett warns, is forcing central banks to ingest U.S. currency at a rate approaching $2 billion a day. Unless we have a major change in trade policies, I don't see how the dollar avoids going down. And this goes along with something I started to see earlier this week in the codes, and that the term depression started popping up in regards to the Antichrist. And I don't think he's depressed when he arrives. What I think is going to happen is our economy is going to be in a depression. So we could be heading into a depression, folks. We all know that the market could crash.
Sherry?
Yeah?
You have John on the line when you're ready.
Okay, go ahead and put him on.
You're up, John.
Well, good evening, Sherry.
Well, hello, John. How are you?
Oh, excellent, excellent.